Good day to you from Inside Drug Discovery. This video describes a drug that has been recently approved by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. The drug is Wayrilz. This video focuses mostly on the medicinal chemistry properties of the drug rather than patient outcomes. Wayrilz was approved on August 29, 2025. Wayrilz is approved for the treatment of persistent or chronic immune thrombocytopenia that is unresponsive to other treatments. The active pharmaceutical ingredient in Wayrilz is rilzabrutinib. The drug is administered orally, twice per day with a 400 milligram dose. The sponsor for the NDA is Sanofi. The prescribing information insert of Wayrilz is shown at the bottom of the slide. Or should I say a link to the prescribing information is at the bottom of the slide, and the prescribing information is the primary reference for this video. The indication is immune thrombocytopenia. This condition is often called ITP. ITP comes from the original name of the condition, idiopathic thrombocytopenic purpura. Fortunately, the acronym ITP fits with both the old and new names. The main symptoms for ITP are poorly controlled bleeding and different types of skin spotting and bruising. The term purpura is a reference to the reddish and purplish coloring that can arise from bleeding under the skin. In pediatric patients, the condition tends to resolve on its own. In adult patients, ITP tends to be more persistent and even chronic. Wayrilz is only approved in adult patients with more long-term symptoms. Rilzabrutinib, which is the API in Wayrilz, treats ITP by acting on its target, Bruton's tyrosine kinase or BTK. The name of the target is apparent in the name of the compound. Fun fact, there are currently at least two other drugs in the marketplace that also act on BTK, ibrutinib and zanubrutinib, that also have the name of the target in their non-proprietary name. These other drugs are not indicated for ITP. Back to the topic at hand, rilzabrutinib is a BTK inhibitor with an IC50 of 1.6 nanomolar according to IUPhar's Guide to Pharmacology. Inhibition of BTK results in immunomodulatory activity, which provides treatment for immune thrombocytopenia. On this slide are some of the physicochemical properties of rilzabrutinib. These are determined by Swiss ADME. Although rilzabrutinib has a somewhat high molecular weight and is pushing the typical limit for hydrogen bond acceptors based on Lipinski's rules, the compound is regardless an orally administered drug. I admit that I am a fan of Lipinski's rules. I know that many are not. In case you are not aware, Lipinski's rules are a simple method for looking at physicochemical properties, these four in particular, to predict whether a compound may be orally absorbed. Lipinski's rules provide a yes-no answer, but oral bioavailability is more complex than just a yes or no answer. The oral bioavailability just needs to be good enough. I'm spending time on this idea because it's going to appear again on the next slide. Before we do move on, notice that the structure of rilzabrutinib does not specify the geometry of this CC double bond. This structure is consistent with the structure from the prescribing information, which does not specify the alkene configuration. This stereocenter is explicitly R, but the alkene is not specified as E or Z. A quick Google search with perhaps some AI help indicated that rilzabrutinib has the E configuration, which is implied by my picture. Regardless, I'm following the prescribing information for this video. Now we have some PK properties. The half-life is on the short side, but of course rilzabrutinib is dosed twice per day instead of once per day. The prescribing information provides values for both distribution and clearance, although they seem to be derived from different routes of administration. Now we get to oral bioavailability, which is just 4.7%. Oral bioavailability is not just about absorption. Metabolism also plays a role. Given the high molecular weight of rilzabrutinib and its high number of hydrogen bond acceptors, it's not too surprising that the bioavailability is quite low. Low bioavailability does not prevent a drug from being orally dosed, but patient-to-patient absorption variability can make establishing safety and efficacy more difficult in compounds with very low bioavailability. And I would consider 5% to be quite low. The point of all this discussion is not to question rilzabrutinib. Instead, I want to emphasize that low bioavailability is not surprising given the structural features that we saw in rilzabrutinib on the previous slide. Rilzabrutinib is metabolized primarily by enzymes in the CYP3A family. No structures of metabolites are provided, but I guess that this electron-rich phenyl group is a metabolic soft spot. The dominant route for excretion is via the feces. With regard to safety, Wayrilz carries some warnings: increased risk of serious infections, hepatotoxicity, and embryo-fetal toxicity. Adverse reactions reported in at least 10% of treated patients include diarrhea, nausea, headache, abdominal pain, and elevated risk of COVID-19 infection. That concludes this summary of the approval of the new drug application of Wayrilz, which was granted by the U.S. FDA on August 29th of 2025. Wayrilz contains rilzabrutinib and is approved for the treatment of chronic immune thrombocytopenia. Your comments are always welcome. Thank you for watching. Take care.